I have a cool friend. She's a woman. Yeah, she's beautiful, but I would never do anything. Like she said, we're totally cool. And there's a subconscious thread that enjoys the risk of this. Like, this is close. This is close to trouble.
Why do you need those relationships? Why are you going to these other women for friendship? It's like you have that in your spouse. And that's one of the beautiful things about marriage is that you have that.
If you really get honest with men, they enjoy the possible risk involved and they don't even know to look for that. If a man pushes back on a lie detector who has been caught cheating, big question is, what the F are you doing? Why do I need to take a lie detector test? Because you've been lying. If a man is honest, it should be like, thank God I get to take one. You didn't just lie. You trained her to override her own instincts, and she has to learn to trust herself again.
And that's why it's good, because you need to learn to trust yourself. And to do that,
Lights on. Welcome. Laura Lentz,
hello.
it's good to have you.
Thanks.
Welcome to your podcast.
Yes, it is mine.
You look gorgeous today. We're going to get into the goods. How do you feel?
I feel good. I was just telling the Instagrammers that had my coffee, which I don't usually have. I haven't had coffee in a long time.
You seem a bit switched on today.
And I had some pre-workout just to really get me going. So I'm feeling a little tingly in the hands.
A little bicep
not
curl.
C4,
Not
no.
C4.
Don't like that stuff.
I love you. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for checking this out. Wherever you're listening to this, we love you dearly. Pray this is a blessing. We're going to get into some great stuff. And we talk about the email thing real quick, love, because that's coming hot and heavy, and it's hugely important.
So we've made available email, a place for you guys to email us to give us questions or just to get more connected with us. So it's hello@carlandlaura.com.
Yeah.
And you can send in your questions and all of that, because sometimes with the DMs and all that, we've kind of missed a few
hard,
of those.
yeah.
It gets a bit tough. So.
I'll say this. It's hugely effective. So if you're listening to this and you have a question, it definitely fuels our podcast.
Yeah.
I think that we're doing this to try to get direct, acute help where we can. If this is your first time on the Lights On podcast, our journey includes some pain, some wreckage, and a lot of hope and a lot of rebuilding. And we're going to speak to that today. One of the really frequent common questions, and we've learned, and to give us even more context, every day that we're on this journey of a marriage. Number two, both of us talk a lot about people who are desperate for help. And what we keep finding is it's hard to find. It can be hard to find. It can be hard because everything's so acute and everything has such different angles to it. And what we're always going to do on this podcast is try to give some immediate help. And today that's going to be highlighted because the question we're going to answer is coming from the man's point of view. So if you are a man and you're listening to this and you have been involved in a marriage explosion, and your question, this is typically what it sounds like when I get these and when you get these. It says, how can I make this better? I've messed up. There seems to be no hope. I just want to crawl into a hole and I want to live in shame. I don't know what to do. What can I do? So common. And so what we're going to focus on right now, if you're listening, is the role a man can play post-infidelity when there is the door cracked open for hope. And then we're going to follow this up with what the woman can do. In this case. And these roles do reverse. We typically talk from the most common part of infidelity, which is a man breaking his marriage vows.
Right.
There are plenty of instances where that is reversed, and it's the woman. These are all transferable. So if you are the betrayer, this is the posture today, and this is why this is hugely effective. So if you're listening to this podcast today and you have friends that are going through this, hugely important for you to pick up on this so you know how to support people and what to look for. And if you are a man, to my brothers, I will say this: do not listen to this podcast if you're trying to do your own thing. Don't do it. Make sure your wife does not hear it, because I'm going to give the truth today. And if you play your cards right, there's hope. And both of us believe this. We love marriage. We think it's so important. It's vital. And if there is a sliver of hope, it's worth fighting for until you can't fight any longer. And we've talked clearly about how that day does come where it's just not an option for some people. But if there is hope, that's why we do this pod.
If you're trying to work on your marriage and trying to fix some things that are broken, this is going to be super helpful.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the men who says, what can I do to make this better? I'll start with what you can't do. You can't force it. You can't heal for them. You can't make it better. Air quotes if you're listening in your car. And why I say make it better, you can't make infidelity better. You can't do it. It is what it is. It is one of the deepest betrayals in life. What you can do, this is exciting, I'll start here, is you can build your life in such a healthy way that it becomes intriguing and enticing. That's the only thing you can do, is to begin to build a life. Forget about trying to present anything else. I'm going to build a life that is so enticing that this person who I've broken the deepest trust has no choice but to consider. And I think that's the real goal. And you cannot convince her to forgive you. This is a hard one to grasp, but if you're listening right now, I want to give you some hope and some peace. You're not even looking for forgiveness right now. You're looking for health. You're looking for freedom. You're looking for a new life that is authentic, that is honest. And forgiveness is a choice that only the betrayed person can make. And then the follow through of forgiveness is its own journey. So there's a choice to be made. And then forgiveness doesn't mean proximity. It doesn't mean we're going to stay married. It doesn't mean that let the past be in the past. Forgiveness simply means the person who is doing the forgiving is ready to release the burden of carrying a debt that they shouldn't have been carrying in the first place.
Right.
That's what forgiveness does. It frees the person who's been hurt. It's way more powerful than the person who's receiving it, and that is huge. But at the same time, that's what it's for. Forgiveness is about that person freeing themselves.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, especially in the Christian world, I think we get really caught up in that. I need to forgive, and there's this process of like almost panic, like I haven't forgiven my partner.
Yeah.
How do I do that? And I think that's where a lot of people try to rush the healing process, is because they think that this needs to happen first because I'm a Christian and this is what God expects, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's really important to understand that you don't have to rush that right away.
No.
It does take some time, and it can take a lot of time, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And there's no timeline for forgiveness in terms of this, I don't think, and that's where I think it can get messy as well with the wrong therapist or going to a pastor for help.
Huge.
Or a counselor that kind of doesn't understand the process of the journey of betrayal trauma.
Yeah.
That's why I am so adamant on making sure women and men get the right help.
The right help, which we're going to talk about in detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's well said, love. And let me give you hope. My fellow brother who might be listening to this, who hasn't got forgiveness yet, don't let it be your expectation. It took you 3 years to say the words, "I forgive you," to me. Mm-hmm. And it was just a bonus. I didn't need it. I wasn't interested in that because I couldn't make that choice. So I got the memo that all I can do is work to live a life that's so different, where you have to consider new options. And 3 years in, so I think people have this mythical idea with our story sometimes that you're just this epic, heroic wife who was like, "I forgive you," and you are epic and you are heroic. But that was not in the cards. It was, you took your time with that.
Yeah.
And when you did tell me, "I forgive you," it was incredible to hear, but there's a lot that goes into that. So if you are in the spot right now of I have messed this up, I don't know what to do, I'm glad you tuned in today, because we're going to give you some really, really, really good insight and perspective. These are not conclusive. This is our opinion on what really works, and we've gotten this from our own life and being in the trenches now for years, helping other people through this mess that infidelity can be. You're an in-depth researcher, and you have a ton of gems. And I just want you to drop them when you feel it in regards to what you've read and what you've heard and what you've seen, because it's really, really powerful.
Yeah. Well, just off the top, some expert insight from Dr. Shirley Glass. She's a psychologist who wrote Not Just Friends. Found that healing from betrayal requires both partners to engage. The betrayed needs space to feel and rebuild trust, and the offender must embrace radical transparency and patience. And that one's massive. Forgiveness is a response to trustworthiness, not persuasion.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is a response to trustworthiness. So focus less on the forgiveness and focus more on being trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Persuasion is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's often how infidelity happens in the first place, is that the husband's persuasive.
Right.
I was persuasive. So it can't be the antidote.
Mm.
Sometimes you've been persuaded to believe things that aren't true. And so it's a beautiful, healthy decision to say, I'm not going to be persuaded. I'm going to watch the trustworthiness in your life grow. So here's the premise. Here's the assumption before we begin. The assumption for this whole frame is that there's been a full disclosure. We're just going to pretend that everybody understands how big of a deal a full disclosure is.
Can you just explain what a disclosure is?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people may not
It's
even know what that
extremely
is.
painful and it's extremely powerful, but it means you've closed as many gaps as possible. There's a timeline of offense. The imagination has been put to rest on the betrayed side, and there is hope. And a doctor said, this is Dr. Janice Abrams, she says that couples who commit a full disclosure have a 70% higher chance of long-term reconciliation compared to couples who hide the details to protect each other. Mm. So a full disclosure is when you sit there, it always typically has to have a third party there, but it's where you disclose every single thing you have done in that marriage up until that point. And why this is so dynamically hopeful is because you really get to start fresh. There's a lot of men who get caught and they want to dribble out information. They want to breadcrumb what they've done. And that is tormenting.
Well, that causes more trauma.
It's not honest.
More damage.
So a full disclosure, if you haven't done that, if you're listening to this, I'll speak to my friend, the men that are listening. You need to pursue it. It saves you work. It saves you drama. It saves you suspicion. And it puts you in a place of being real for the first time in decades.
Yeah.
And so we're going to assume that's happened.
And it's an opportunity for you to be honest
First time in a long time.
To feel free. Because for so long, I think with infidelity, the man or whoever's the cheater has been hiding so many things and kept so many secrets that it's really important for them to be able to get that out and to see the impact that they've had in real time to the betrayed who's listening to all of these things. It's really hard. It's the worst. It's not fun at all, but it's very important step to get healing and freedom. It's the beginning. Yeah.
If you do it the right way, the power is in the hands of the one that has been betrayed, and they get to ask whatever they want to ask. There's no question that's out of bounds. There's nothing. And that's the power of it. So a full disclosure gives you a full opportunity to build again something better. And it's huge. So that's the first assumption we're making. And the second assumption is that work has begun for the offender. So if you're the man in the situation and you have broken the trust in your marriage, we're going to assume right now that you have begun work. And you can go back and listen to any pod we've done on what that work entails. But we're talking therapy, we're talking group sessions, we're talking everything. And here's what I'll say. If you don't know where to begin, that's fair. I get that. That's not a cop-out. Here's where you can begin. Go find a local AA meeting and go sit in that thing every single day. Just as a minimum baseline, that's the kind of work you can do. And I lived this. I didn't know what to do. And the first AA meeting I went to was in Connecticut in this dank basement of some Presbyterian church. And it was me and 15 guys. And I had no idea what I was doing there. And immediately upon the beginning of this meeting, I thought, well, this might be something for me.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of being present, of showing up real. And you can at minimum do that. So we're assuming some work has been done to betray your family, to break your vows, and then to sit there doing nothing is the opposite posture.
Yep.
And I know it's understandable. I've been there, but you got to get that train started. So that's our assumption. And here's what a man can do. You can't save the marriage. You can't force her to forgive you. You can't convince her that you're different. But here's what you can do. First thing you can do, and again, to give you a better frame, we want to build a trail of evidence that leads to a better version of you. There was a trail of evidence that led to your demise. Now, every single day, you want to build this trail that's so overwhelming that the person who does not trust you has to start looking over there because there's so... What does this trail lead to? And eventually it leads to a better version of who you are. So here's the first thing you can do. You can start being honest about everything all the time. The little things. Nothing is insignificant. And here's what you need to know about honesty. If you're listening, oh, that seems basic. It's not as basic as you might think. Every lie you tell from this moment on will point her back to the huge, devastating, explosive lies you told before. So this is detail. This is exactly what you said, doing exactly what you said every time. And for a while, here's how ingrained it is. Don't laugh. Gosh, this is how ingrained it is. If you have, been through a marriage breakdown, it took a lot of lying to get there. And it takes a lot of honesty to rewire those patterns. So we got good advice, which was, as you build a life of honesty, be careful and be ready to catch your patterns. So sometimes you lie by default. Sometimes you lie by omission. That's the number one culprit on a recovery journey, is someone who might be honest, but they're still being dishonest because they left out information you didn't even know to ask. And so we instituted a 24-hour grace period where if I said something and it wasn't true, I had that window to come back and amend what I had said.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because if I lie to you again, our marriage is over, for sure, right away. So that gave me time. And there were times where I wouldn't have to come back and tell you something was completely false. Now it's true, but there would be little details. And it was funny because you would be like, this is a bit overboard, but after a while you started to get what I was doing.
Right.
So it's like I went, where'd you go today? I went to the gym. Cool. I come back and be like, I went to the store, I went to the gas station, I went to Dick's Sporting Goods, and I went to the gym. And because I told you where I went, and it wasn't fully true, it wasn't fully false, it just wasn't the full story. So this is the beginning of a new life of complete and total honesty. And what you need to understand, my brother that's listening, you didn't just lie. You trained her to override her own instincts. And she has to learn to trust herself again. So when I look at you, I realize your nervous system adapted to my lying. The way that you listen to your own voice, the voice of God, was severely altered because you were trying to figure out, wait, I feel one thing, he's saying another. And so you spent years trying to regulate to a dysfunctional man. And so part of my amends is to be able to create a space for you to understand what honesty really is again, so you can find your footing every day.
Yeah, I had to learn to trust myself because for so long you kind of put that aside because of all the chaos, and you're just like trying to figure out what's right and wrong. Am I crazy? Am I not? And so this part was really important for me to exactly what you said, to get my my balance back in my head of like, okay, I can trust myself, because you're building to trust like what's going on in you, and the bonus is whatever is discussed with your partner. But Dr. John Gottman, who
you love him,
I love them. I'm doing some courses with them right now with the Gottman Institute. But he says, trust is built in very small moments. It's the little things done often, not the grand gestures that rebuild what was broken. So it's all those little things, like you said, at the beginning, I did need to know where you were, what you were doing, how long you were, like when we lived in, I remember
Florida.
Even before Florida, when we lived in Cali.
We're like transient gypsy migrants.
Yeah. Yeah. But it would be like, how long were you at the pier, writing your affirmations in the morning? And then where did you go after? Because I just needed to know that I could start to trust you again. And that took a really long time. And that was exhausting, but it just had to be done.
Small moments. And here's a great tip. Like, I would tell you things that meant I was healthy or unhealthy. And you didn't ask for that. I would say, hey, I'm an honest man. I live an honest life. If you see me leave the house and I haven't made the bed and I haven't ordered my shoes, you can challenge me on it, because that is a symptom of me going backwards.
Right.
And when you say that out loud to your spouse, it puts you on Front Street in the best way. So now you might say, hey, you left today. You didn't make the bed. Are you okay? Do I need to call Dino? Do I need to call Randy Bizette? Because you told me, and I'll be like, you're right. I will amend that. There's nothing that's behind that, but you're correct for holding me to what I said. And that was the beginning of these small steps that lead to these huge, huge opportunities for new freedom. And I think Here's an important note. You can offer more information than is asked for. The lowest level of a man trying to build a marriage back is the guy who just gives the 2-word answers for everything. It's the opposite posture. So the posture of the man who wants to be trustworthy is to give more information than they ask for. Even with your therapy. I don't know why this is a thing, but I got to say it is a thing, including letting your spouse know that she can know everything that's going on in your recovery work. There are men we found on this journey that are like private about this, and they make it a thing. And we always go, this is the wrong angle, bro. Like, it's not the way you need to function right now. You need to let her know. And I think it's perfectly reasonable for the betrayed spouse to be in contact with the therapist
Yeah.
of the one doing the work. It's not about spying. It's about safety.
Yep.
It's about understanding that I know what's going on. Every major voice in marriage recovery agrees with this. Ready? Secrecy fuels transparency, or secrecy fuels betrayal. Transparency fuels repair. That means even the recovery process in and of itself can't be in secret. The betrayed doesn't need to know every detail of your therapy, but it's fair and it's right to know, is he showing up? Is he learning? Is he leaning in? Is the work real? And we had this from day one. So you were able to call my therapist whenever you needed to triple check things, to talk about concerns. And it was hugely important for us.
Yeah. It helped me a lot because I wanted to respect your process with your therapist, but I really wanted to know that you were getting things and that there was like progress going on. So I would ask you, what did you learn how was your meeting? How was this and that? And you would just give me a little bit. That's all I needed. I just needed something. I didn't want you to go into a lot of details, but just something that was like a revelation to you, or like something you were learning in your journey, because that gave me hope of like, okay, that's another thing I can rest in a little bit, because your body, like you said, your nervous system is so out of whack, and you're just trying to get any sort of level, some sort of level in your life.
Here's why, for all the ladies listening, here's why sometimes your husband won't tell you about what's happening in therapy. It's because it'll make him accountable. So if you talk in therapy about your attitude and your speech and the way you treat your wife on little things, let's just say that's the topic. For me to come back and tell you, I was challenged with the way I respond to you. So if you say this and I respond this way, I'm out of line. Well, now I'm on Front Street. So it's easier to come back. But it was good. We talked about health. We talked about regeneration. We talked about, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Jesus who strengthens me. It's going good. Okay. Better is when you bring something that makes you vulnerable. And that helps you know, like, hey, I'm serious about this. Like, I'll tell you, here's what I learned about myself. I am awful when it comes to A, B, and C. It just builds a lot of strength. Lights On is proud to partner with God Behind Bars, restoring, rebuilding, reclaiming lives. If there's ever an organization for you to check out that you want to support, get involved with, if you want to see people come to life again when society has said life is over, this organization is for you. GodBehindBars.com. Check them out. There are ways to get involved, ways to give, ways to support. Maybe you'll even find that this is a passion for you to bring life to people who are literally behind bars, and you can make a difference today. So God Behind Bars, check them out online. We love partnering with them, and they could use you. Never know. Check it out today.
Secrecy in recovery is as dangerous as secrecy in the affair.
Wow.
Transparency is what allows trust to regrow. So it's exactly what you're saying. Like, just a little bit of like vulnerability and this is how I'm feeling in this just brings that out for, the betrayed to feel like, okay, there's hope.
Yeah. And when you keep even your recovery process in the light, you prove you have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
And that's what rebuilds trust. So one thing you can do, if you're sitting here today going, how do I bring some hope to this? You can start being honest and use the version of integrity I use on this podcast, which is integrity means I do what I say when I said I was going to do it, period. Is that true? Because it's true. How do I need to talk to my wife? How do I need to respond? Second thing you can do, you can have zero contact with qualifiers. Zero.
What's a qualifier?
Okay, so qualifier is the fancy word they use in rehab for the person you cheated with. And they just use qualifier because I guess it sounds a little bit more dignified. But a qualifier is anybody that qualifies you for being in the camp of men that committed infidelity. So your qualifiers can be many people, many things. And one thing you can do is have zero contact with these people, no exceptions. And if there is an exception, it has to come from the person who's been betrayed. And we understand that this can be layered, this can be complex. If you cheated on your spouse with somebody you work with, perhaps that is out of your control. And it's always in your control. Sometimes it's worth starting a brand new career.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes to give your spouse peace. But this notion here is a hard one for people to hear, but wives need to know you can expect this. You should expect this. You should expect your spouse to have zero contact with qualifiers. And they use a word in sexual identity reclamation called entanglements. And this is how you start to show a man that it wasn't just the cheating that you got caught, it was the entanglements that led you there. An entanglement is a seemingly innocuous relational connection, and you have 17 of these. So
Right.
an entanglement is the girl you see every day that y'all know you have a rhythm with, and it's conversation, and your wife doesn't know. Entanglement. It's a message, which we'll get to. It's certain things that just get you tangled. You have to untangle your life bit by bit, and it starts with absolutely zero contact with that qualifier. So if you hear anything coming from the man about why he's still in contact with this person, it's not just a red flag, it's a red blanket.
Yeah.
Wave it over your head and put it over your body. Might start going the other way because there's no reasonable explanation to have contact with the person that was primary in the breakdown of your marriage.
Well, I think if there's any relationship or conversation going on where you can't share it with your wife, or you don't want her to see those texts or those, or know about that person in the coffee shop or know about that person at the gym, whatever it is, that's a red flag.
Huge. And the Marriage and Family Therapy Association, 70% of emotional affairs begin with harmless continued contact. So zero contact is the baseline for repair. And most affairs nowadays begin digitally.
Yeah. Those DMs will get you.
It's called digital micro cheating.
Yep.
It is a real thing.
Yeah.
And you might feel safer. You might feel like it's not as big a deal. It's the biggest deal. And that's a part of this. So if you still have contact with the person that destroyed your life with you, I would consider ending that contact today and letting your spouse know that A, you were still in contact, and B, you're making a fresh choice today to end it, because that's the least I can do. And so, wife, again, we can't overemphasize this. If you can tell we have a little bit of zest with this, it's because we have been in the middle of a lot of situations with couples that we love dearly. And some of this stuff is so obvious, but people don't see it.
Yeah.
And you hear the worst excuses like, hey, by the way, does your husband still talk to that woman? Yeah, he does. He's doing it because he's got a good heart and wrong. He does because wrong. There is no exception to this rule. And you can try to find one if you want. But as far as we're concerned, this is a huge baseline point for reentry to an honest relationship. Third thing you can do. You can eliminate private conversations with the opposite sex. So this is now doubling down on the last thing I said you can do, which is to end it with qualifiers. Now you cannot begin with people that aren't qualifiers for that very reason.
Right.
And I guess I've seen the podcast world is so saturated with idiots that some of the takes you see, you think they're parody. You really do. You hear, people giving relational wisdom and you go, oh my gosh, like this one is apparently a trend where it's like, I can have relationships with the opposite sex. That's my right. That's my life. That's my thing. We don't believe that's true. So unless it's explicitly communicated, there's just no reason to maintain private channels with the opposite sex.
No.
None.
There's a quote from Dr. Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages, if you don't know what that is. Intimacy is guarded by boundaries. Private conversations outside the marriage create false intimacy and chip away at the real thing.
Yes, true. And that 5 Love Languages book is freaking timeless.
Yeah, it's the best.
But again, depends on what kind of restoration you want. There are people who try to make their own version of this. And when it comes to the man, one thing you can't do, you can't control this and you can't curate this. So it's like for me and my wife, I still have female friendships because I've known her my whole life. Hey, cool, bro. We're doing something new here. And it is standard baseline wisdom to start fresh as a man and go, you know what, maybe having any relationships beyond super cordial professional relationships, I got to ask you why.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need to ask why do you need those relationships? Why are you going to these other women for friendship? It's like you have that in your spouse, and that's one of the beautiful things about marriage is that you have that.
Right.
And if you really, dig deep into that relationship, it's better than any other relationship you would ever have. So I would be like, why do you need that?
Why?
There's something in you, that validation, that thing that you're like looking for from these other women.
Yeah.
That's something to really dig into.
And most guys won't tell you the truth. I will.
Yeah.
If you really get honest with men, they enjoy the possible risk involved and they don't even know to look for that.
Right.
So I have a cool friend. She's a woman. Yeah, she's beautiful, but I would never do anything. Like she said, we're totally cool. And there's a subconscious thread that enjoys the risk of this. Like this is close. This is close to trouble. And when you've already been in deep trouble, that's kind of wrecked so much of your life, you don't need to be close to trouble. You need to be far into healthy healing. And I mean, there are exceptions when your spouse is involved. So if she's fully comfortable with the relationship and everything is visible, sure, you can talk about it. But as a baseline, I was asked, what can I do to make this better? Remember the premise of this. One thing you can do is just eliminate conversations that are private with the opposite sex.
Yeah, what you did was you would put me on a lot of texts if you
If it
had
was work-related,
work-related or just even the kids, anything like that. You would always put me in those if it was a woman or a mom or a whatever.
Yeah.
And
it sends a message the other way as well.
100%.
We have a relationship that's at this level, but because we're now talking over text, my wife is on this text. And if that's not the case, it's because you give an explicit,
it's fine.
You feel comfortable with this individual and you know the thread of the conversation. So the work that I do sometimes does involve, talking to people, on some deep levels, and you're just well aware of that. It's visible, you know it. But other than that, there just isn't. If you were to see something on my phone that you did not recognize, you would have the right to press end.
Yeah.
That's how serious our consequences are.
100%.
Number 4, here's another thing you can do. You can have patience with the past. This is a bummer. This is hard.
This one's hard. I think this is
hard
hard
for
for men.
If you are a man, let me just tell you, brother, I feel you. This is not easy. If you are a follower of Jesus, it is easier because you get to pray that God will give you supernatural power to be patient. If you're not a Christian, I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully you can ante up even more willpower. I didn't have it in me to be patient without the help of God's grace, because to be patient means you have to sit in it and you have to be able to deal with it. And that's sometimes the underlying tone that people don't get. Like, I don't want to be patient with you because I don't want to think about this every day. I don't want to think about what I did. I don't want to think about the impact it had. And then you realize, oh shit, this is all about me again.
It's about you, yeah.
What do you need? You need to take your time. Do you need to be patient? And so you never get to say, why are you still on that? It's water under the bridge. You have lost the right forever, my friend, to use that with a spouse that's trying to trust you again.
Yeah, and here's a stat for that. Studies from
Stat Laura, Stat Stephanie.
Studies from the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy show it takes an average of 18 to 24 months before trust indicators stabilize after infidelity. Some cases require 36 months or more. I would definitely say it takes more than more. But that's a really good place to start. Is to realize she's not going to get over this in a couple of months.
No.
This takes a really long time because you broke every piece of trust in this relationship.
Patience with the past. You're going to need some help with that. And here's how I can help you. Don't have an expectation.
Yeah.
Let it go. Your expectation is for you to get healthy. whatever she does, however she handles it, there will come a time where if you've done serious, significant work and there seems to be a drag or there seems to be, you know, a negative tone that you just can't get over, yeah, you bring that to the table. But in regards to having patience, just make a decision to say, I am a patient man. I am a patient man. And the work itself helps heal the past. Evidence of your new life, it builds a wall that she now has to climb over to go backwards again. So once she's in, your trust and your equity and your new life can build like a barrier for her. Every time now she wants to go back into fear, she has to really go through new evidence. That's the
Yeah.
goal, is to make it so tiresome for you to go back to not trusting me that it's like there's more evidence over here. So I'm going to slowly on my journey move forward.
Yeah, I think this is again where it's really important that you have the right therapist, because I've heard so
Yeah.
many stories of people going to their pastor
Yeah.
or their leader or
Yeah.
someone,
Tragic.
which can do way more damage than good.
Yeah.
And so you have to be so specific with the help that you get, because if a leader or a pastor or a friend just kind of dumbs down that like trust thing, like, oh,
Yeah.
you should be over that by now. Like
Yeah.
you know, the right thing to do is to forgive and move on. That is really damaging to
Yeah.
someone who's trying to heal and trying to build trust again. And then that puts pressure on the person who's trying to heal.
Mm-mm.
And it can be really detrimental to your healing process. So I'm really adamant about where you go for your
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
And that's a really big one with the patience of healing.
Yeah, and number
From the
five,
past.
dovetails right with that. The fifth thing you can do is you can give extreme grace when she's triggered.
Yeah.
Extreme grace. Don't get defensive. The answer is not like, why are you still on this? The answer is always this: I'm so sorry that I put you in a position to manage this pain. That has to be the response. And, you know, if that's the response to the triggers, you will see less triggers.
Dr. Esther Perel, who I'm obsessed
She's
with.
great.
I love
She's
her.
cool.
In her book, The State of Affairs, triggers are not proof of weakness. They are proof of impact. How you respond to a partner's trigger determines whether it lingers or loses power.
Wow.
I've found that to be absolutely true. So anytime I've been triggered, it could be, they can come out of nowhere and there's no rhyme or reason to what could be the trigger. But anytime that you have had that patience and grace with me to just listen and not try to defend it or to dumb it down, I have found that the more I talk about those triggers in a safe space with you, they have dwindled
Yeah.
and disappeared. So many
Vanished.
people think that I'm going to have these triggers forever. It's
That's
not
not
true.
true.
If you face them and you talk about them and you're able to do it in a really safe space with your spouse, and in your therapy as well, because that's both very important because you can get tools for that.
Yeah.
But talking about it with your spouse is very important. And that's the only way I have found for my triggers to disappear, is to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, and I heard something incredible that helped me in regards to grace and patience. Like, grace and patience with this stuff, it's not optional. In fact, it should be proportional to the years of deception.
Yeah.
This is, again, turn this off if you are a man trying to do this your own way. And you think because you've been doing it right for a couple months, it's like, hey, what's up with my wife? When's she gonna get over these triggers? The grace should be proportional to the years of deception, which means in our case, I've got a lot of years in the tank to give you grace.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it like that, if you're listening to this, like, how much grace should I give my wife? I don't know. How much did you lie to her? How long did it go on? That gives you a frame for what kind of grace you should hold and you should start to handle interactions with. And again, to go back to the neuropathway thing, here's a cheat sheet code for a man who's going to believe me today and go, okay, I got to have more grace when she's triggered. It really helps to have an automatic canned response. This is not hollow. This is not shallow. It is powerful, because you're not going to trust yourself to the point you're going to build a frame that no matter, whenever my wife is triggered, this will be my response.
Yep.
It can look like something like this. So that triggered me. Your attitude today, you trigger me. And I don't know how to articulate it, but I feel triggered. I feel suspicious. My response can be, I hear you. I'm so sorry. And I'm not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over. So every time she has a trigger, her brain will start to recognize and adapt to the answer. She knows it's going to come because you have built a ritual.
Yep.
So when my wife wrongly accuses me, gets suspicious of me, uses the old past against me because she's human, my response will be this: I hear you. I'm sorry. I'm not going anywhere. Now let's continue. I mean, it settles the water.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have any other options for response, you're going to win here. If you do, you will get caught on a bad moment, a bad night, and you will snap and say things you regret.
Yeah. If there's any defensive-ness or like justification for it,
Yeah.
it's just not going to go. It's not going to go well for you.
So hear me today. This is huge. Hear me. If you want to rebuild this trust, make a commitment. I only have one response when my wife is human. I'm sorry. I hear you. I'm not going anywhere. And then let her continue. And when I've given you great responses, I can almost see you get frustrated because there's no fight. And I love that. I just keep answering with a healthy response, and you want to stay mad, but something in your body, your nervous system responds to health. It responds to love. It responds to peace. So you're hearing something. It's like, no, but you triggered me. And I can't believe you did that. And I can't believe you did that in the first place. And you start going on this roll. I hear you. I'm sorry. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, it brings you back down
It's
to
like,
a
oh,
peaceful moment.
It's like that fight when you're a married couple and you've just been fighting for 24 hours. You're like, we might as well make it 48. Like, we've already wasted a whole day. Let's just keep fighting. And you get to a point you forgot you were fighting and you start joking. It's kind of that same concept. It's a new neural pathway you're helping her build, whether she likes it or not, because her old nervous system wants to respond to your volatile, to your defensiveness, to your anger. And you're going to show her something new. And slowly but surely, there's something fresh, something new there. Lights on. Proud to partner with Plana.org, an organization built to help people deal with the unexpected, from moms trying to give birth by themselves to people handling issues where they don't know where else to turn. Plana.org is a one-stop shop for people who need help. They have an amazing app that's going to become available very soon. But even right now, you can check them out at Plana.org. Get more information about this amazing organization that is fitting and filling a need that is so desperate. Have you ever wondered, where do you turn when X, Y, and Z happens? The unexpected. Plana.org is created to give people hope in the darkest hours. So check them out today. Plana.org. We love you. Number 6, and we'll shut this down. You can live with 0 secrets. That's what you can do. Secrecy, hear me out. This is huge. Secrecy is the currency of infidelity, which means transparency is the currency of faithfulness. So if infidelity had money, it would be secrets. Mm-hmm. And you can, from this second on, every single day, live with no secrets, passwords, logins, locations. And I've heard it said by a bunch of people I trust. They say, if it's private, it's poison. Mm-hmm. If it's poison, it'll be done in private. Private means poison. For a recovering infidelity guy with addictive tendencies, if it's in private, you might want to consider that it's poison. And Patrick Carnes, who is like one of my heroes, he changed the game when it comes to recovering your sexual identity and your purity and your integrity. He said the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. And connection requires total transparency. So we are both really, really big on open lives, open phones. I don't understand the world we live in where people will try to have privacy within their marriage. Mm-hmm. Passwords, to us, that's a joke. There are couples who fight over that. Like, I don't let her look at my phone. Why?
Well, you're
Well,
hiding
I need
something.
my own, you need your own what? And this
Right.
is really becomes a value contradiction. Now you get to talk about what marriage means, because for us, marriage means one soul. What's mine is yours. What's
Mhm.
yours is mine. And there's nothing in my life you can't have, you can't see, you can't know. So if you are in a relationship and the person is hesitant, I don't know about dating, but if you're married and your spouse won't let you look at their phone, your passwords, your DMs, something is dreadfully and dangerously wrong.
Yeah. Massive red flag.
People who have nothing to hide nothing. So the only reason as a man I could sit here today and say, Laura, I don't want you to see my DMs. It's not because something's wrong. It's because I'm a man and I deserve my territory. You're a stupid man. You are in the wrong game. Don't be married.
Yeah.
Because the marriage that we know, that we subscribe to, is this beautiful union of complete vulnerable trust and transparency. So it's a good idea to start moving towards a life where there's nothing to hide here.
And I would say as well, like you're 5 years in and you don't have social media. Like you don't look at DMs, you don't see any of those comments, you don't see any of that stuff, which for me still brings me peace. I think if I knew, even 5 years in, if I knew you were still on social media and you were looking at DMs, I just know there's going to be stuff in there. Like,
Oh, there is.
there's going to be,
It's a treasure.
yeah, there's going to be stuff in there. And so for me, I'm extremely grateful that you aren't on social media. And that's 5 years in. So I can't imagine people that have, that guys are like, nope, I need my social media. This is how I have blah, blah, blah. Like these are my contacts or whatever. Please consider,
Yeah.
if you're building trust and you're trying to like change your marriage,
Yeah.
consider finding someone to do that for you, have someone, pay someone to do that, even if it's just for a little while, because that's going to bring so much peace to your spouse. And I think it's a really important thing. And I just hate the thought of, people having to deal with that every day, because it is part of our culture now. But I think there's ways around it.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay.
Yeah. Or just give if DMs are a big part of your corporate world, cool, just give your wife your password.
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Right.
And here's a great barometer. If you are sending a text or a DM that if your spouse knew you were sending it, there's any hitch in your spirit, you're doing the wrong thing. Why would that be? So just take it off the board. And I have seen men do this in the work that I do with them, and it is a powerful change. And there is hesitancy as a man overcoming this stuff, because you're losing the grip on the life that you hate, but you're still kind of addicted to. So the moment you give up everything, it's like, well, where am I going to find that dopamine hit?
Validation,
So to open up a DM thread, if you have a big platform, there will be at least a dozen messages that include opportunities to do something wrong. I'll just say it like that, at least. And so you don't have to have a big platform for that to happen. If you have no platform, you're still going to have people who enter your space that you actually have control over. I cannot control what happens at Trader Joe's. That's not on me. Can't control necessarily what encounters that I have just in everyday regular life, but I can control my freaking phone.
Right.
Why would I not do that? It's the least I can do. I can't convince you I'm different. I can't heal for you. I can't make you believe I'm different. But what I can do is give you my password to my phone.
Yeah. I know that so many women deal with this and the anxiety that it brings every day. If they see their husband on their phone,
Rightfully so.
It can bring so much anxiety.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. And so I think it's something that could be such a beautiful thing to take out and to help speed along that, healing process. Just take it out.
Yeah. And I to this day, if I am deep in something, even if I'm working, I'll every 30 minutes say I'm still working.
Oh yeah, because I'll be like, what?
I want to take
it
it off the board.
What are you typing?
Yeah, I want to take it off. I want to take it off the board for you.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm talking to frickin' my friend here, and it's taking forever. Whatever it is, and on top of that, you don't have to believe me, because as soon as I'm done, I'll put my phone down. You can go look yourself.
Right.
And never once have I or would I ever be like, really, you don't trust me? I know you do, but you have every right forever
not.
to make sure that I'm actually doing what I said because I didn't do that before.
Right.
So it's like for me to be like, really? After 5 years? You still got to check my thread? It's like, yeah, after 5 years,
Yes.
bro. Like, don't
What-
you curse.
What do you feel about lie detectors?
Hugely important. Like if I am in let's just say this whole role was reversed. The first thing we would have done is you would have got a lie detector test. And here's what's funny about this. We'll give you real-time example. When you have a couple that's trying to reconcile and the wife has a feeling that the husband's not really about it, truthfully wants to save the marriage for a couple other reasons, we always say, hey, definitely pursue the lie detector because you're only going to get one or two answers. If a man pushes back on a lie detector who has been caught cheating, big question is, what the F are you doing?
Right.
Like, why do I need to take a lie detector test? Because you've been lying. So if a man is honest, it should be like, thank God I get to take one.
Yeah.
Please, can we set that up tomorrow?
Right.
Because I am honest. I have not lied. I am doing the right thing. And if you need this, please bring it out. Wire me up. Bring in the FBI. That should be the posture. So we've seen some marriages go, I think in a healthy way, apart in that if a wife doesn't have security and she brings this to the man and says, hey, we never did a full disclosure. I didn't know to do that. And what I'd like to do is just have you do a lie detector, which are commonly readily available. There's law firms in your area that can do this. They're not wildly expensive. But to say that and then to get pushback, you already know what time it is.
I'll give you a resource for that because
Give it.
I've done my research on that, obviously. But
I may or may not be wired up every night, y'all. It is what it is.
No, there is this amazing doctor who I have just discovered, but he's been in practice with partner betrayal trauma for over 30 years. His name's Dr. Douglas Weiss. And if you're listening, I'm trying to get you on the pod.
Yeah, Dr. Weiss, come on.
But he's got some amazing resources. But if you go to aasat.org, so ASAT basically, aasat.org, there is a part on there for find a therapist. You can click on that, and he has in every state therapists that actually specialize in sex addiction, all of those things. But he also has on there people who specialize in lie detectors. So they also offer lie detector tests. Yeah. So go to that resource. It's incredible. He also has amazing books and DVDs and all this stuff that you can buy. But he is a great resource for finding a lie detector test.
The more I think about it, the funnier it is. Like, if you are an honest man, a lie detector should be your greatest weapon. If you are dishonest, absolutely push back on it because stats don't lie. And you're giving yourself away. So again, if you're listening to this, my brother, and you don't want your wife to ask you, just pray to God she doesn't get a hold of this pod because she's insane if she doesn't. Like, to me, it just makes very clear sense. And it's so helpful. Like, it has been the amount of power that a couple can get once those results come back, because she at least gets to land those planes. Without it, her imagination is an engine that never stops because she doesn't know. And the guy wasn't fully clear. So it's like those little hitches in your brain as a wife. You're able to put that on the test. Let me just ask about that high school girlfriend. I don't know why. I'm allowed to ask whatever I want. Are you still in contact with the girl you dated when you were 16? Yeah. Yes or no? And then you, for whatever reason, you have your reasons for why your imagination's bouncing around. You've been betrayed.
Right.
So to me, being on the opposite side of that table, it's so cool to be able to say, I told you, I love you. And from here on out, you can keep on testing me and keep on trusting me. That's what I was going to say.
It doesn't have to be a one-time thing.
No way.
If down the road you feel that there's some things that aren't right, hey, we need to go have another lie detector test.
Absolutely.
Because I'm really struggling with this. And it could be just that you're completely out of whack, crazy with your nervous system, and you're just trying to figure out what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
But it also, and that's why it's good, because you need to learn to trust yourself. And to do that, you need to take lie detector tests.
And you need proof. And as the husband, here's why your response should never be defensive about this.
Yeah.
if you're right, if there are guys like, my wife is crazy. She might be a little bit because you made her like that. But if you're right, that'll help her get better help.
Yeah.
So if she's accusing you of lying still, and you know it's not true, why would you then not want to get it on paper? Because then you can say, hey, I'm so sorry. The damage that I did to you is so severe that it appears there's a hitch right here that we can get you help for.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing the right thing. I'm accountable. I'm open. I'm honest. And you still suspect things. There's a deep wound there that we're going to treat with love and gentle care. And let's go see some specialists. You win on every front.
Yeah.
Unless
you're freaking lying.
you're lying again.
And then that's a great opportunity for the man to get honest and be like, I don't know why I keep lying.
Right.
And be honest about it and say, I'm sorry. Like, because there's a reason why you're still lying.
Right.
And so there's patterns there that you need to break.
Yeah.
Just like we do with our friggin' 16-year-old son right now, like trying to get those patterns broken of like, hey, bud, like these little lies can turn into bigger things. So getting that help is so awesome. Like, why can't you see it like that?
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So we will end this here, and then next week we will follow this up. Maybe even try to get it out this week for the role of the woman. But we really wanted to get this on record because we cannot respond to the amazing people in droves that reach out for help, and we understand it. It's very confusing. It's very devastating. And there are easier ways to get help. We are in the midst of creating resources that are going to be really, really helpful because we've just seen the need. And I know God's plan wasn't for me to do all I did to put us in a position to speak to this stuff. But God's plan is always to redeem the horrible things we've done and bring hope. And one of the joys on this side of the track is we get to maybe do a version of this our way that's more helpful than maybe what some people have encountered so far. And so that's it for Lights On today. As the man who has betrayed, hear me today, there's hope for you. You can do a lot. There's some stuff you can't do, but there's so much you can do. So live right there. What can I do? I can do these things. I can live honest. I can have grace. I can have patience. I can end relationships with people that put me in this mother effing position in the first place, and I can live with no secrets. If you just do that, you will be in a beautiful position to decide whether this relationship is going to go forward or not. But you control what you can control. And if you get lucky enough, like my wife did, she got lucky to marry a man
You're
like,
so stupid. Lights off.
Lights off. Lights off. We love you. Bye.